G'day folks. Today we're going to take a look back at what a bunch of twisted, drug-addicted moral degenerates our forebears were. We chose the period roughly covering 1900 to 1970, as this was the era during which the advertising industry created the culture of consumerism and trained humanity to mindlessly swallow and basically follow any old bullshit they were tossed. One industry couldn't be put in a single bucket. I'm talking, of course, about our old mates from the pharmaceutical industry. That's right, drugs, snake oil and poison for all. Dope fiends have been around for a long time. With the modern glass hypodermic syringe being invented in 1851, their number got a real push, so to speak, as morphine had already been around for 45 years. Let's cut the shit and dive on in with advertising arseholes. A chemist working for biopharmaceuticals named Felix Hoffman accidentally synthesized diacetyl morphine on August the 21st, 1897. His employers soon saw they had a new wonder drug with huge market potential and named it heroin, after the German word for heroic. Heroin was patented by Bayer and quickly made available not only as a cough suppressant and common cold medication, but ironically also as a cure for morphine addiction, because the lying bastards claimed it was non-addictive.
Less than 1% of patients taking opioids actually become addicted.
No point in wasting time with more details on old heroin. We all know what it is and what it does. Cocaine was first synthesized a year after heroin. It too was widely marketed as a cure-all and general pick-me-up. Often the two were mixed together. The original speedball, heroin for the calm bliss, and coke to prevent you from nodding off in your soup at a society gala or royal dinner reception, a la Marian Faithfull.
It works on a basis of non-strain.
Check these candies out. Heroin and cocaine. Belushi bombs. Due to a complete lack of regulation in the early 20th century, advertisers had a field day. Throughout the 1920s and 30s, heroin and cocaine were ravenously snorted and shot up by anyone, from poor World War I vets to the demi-monde of upper-class society circles, hence the term high society. By the time the Harrison Narcotics Act was passed and adopted in various forms by most Western nations, there was no putting the brakes on it, and the white horse had bolted. Ancient history, you say? Let's fast forward to the 1960s and even 70s then. The good old Mandy's, Lemons, Ludes, or Quaaludes as they were officially known. The white-collar man's calm-me-down. The Wolf of Wall Street's secret weapon. Those things were too good and too addictive. They had to ban them in the end.
And that's actually part of the reason why you can't get them anymore. Haven't been able to since the mid-'80s.
Then there's this classic, still turned out in truckloads by farmer mills. Initially dished out to the miserable housewives of the day as an antidepressant, but more latterly, kids with ADHD. Ritalin is another well-marketed nasty. Methylphenidate, while not pharmacologically an amphetamine, works just like one and can fry your brains and your body just as effectively.
This is your brain. This is drugs. This is your brain on drugs.
Speaking of amphetamines, is the missus getting a bit porky from watching TV and eating cookie dough all day while you slave away at the old salt mine? No problem. Burroughs, Wellcome & Co. were happy to help. They'd have her up off her ass, cleaning the house and thin again, with methadone. That's methamphetamine, by the way. The same shit Walter White cooks. Better living through chemistry. While we're on the subject of wives and women, however, let's look at what a fucked up reality they got handed in a society driven by advertising.
No matter how good it is, no matter how much women like it, there's no point in any company bringing out a new product unless women are actually going to buy it.
It's no bloody mystery why they burned their bras and demanded shitty jobs and whatever wage they could get. neither is it any wonder that they were such easy targets for pill-pushing profiteers. You're too skinny to even get a man. Now you're too fat.
Half-empty stomach causes hunger tantrums, makes you nibble between meals, probably stuff yourself at your next meal. Pleasant-tasting RDX tablets are safe, contain no dangerous drugs, no hormones.
Why aren't you happy now? I got you everything you need.
Ever since I got this, my Frigidaire automatic dishwasher.
That, Mrs. Millard. So smart to own an automatic dishwasher.
So, that was basically a woman's lot. Imagine being married to an asshole like this guy.
Want anything special for your birthday?
Just a decent cup of coffee.
You're kidding.
I'm serious. Honey, your coffee's undrinkable.
It's pretty harsh.
Well, so's your coffee. You know, the girls down at the office make better coffee on their hot plate.
Happy families. At least as far as those madmen at the ad agencies saw it. Now what about the kids?
Each time he took one out, he asked me the same question. Do you like music? Yes, I'd say. Well then, here's a band for you. He'd put the Robert Burns band on my finger, and we'd go on walking in the sun. Years later, that memory made me start smoking Robert Burns.
I wonder how many decades of therapy it took before he could stick one of them in his mouth without wanting to blow his own brains out.
You're just a young kid. What are you doing here? You got to be out in a convertible, bird dogging chicks and banging beaver. What are you doing here?
And what could possibly go wrong here? Who's going to put their little girl, who's going to put their little girl to bed with a real bloody revolver? Especially when the ad itself says they're not toys. They shoot straight and they kill. Perfectly normal. Well, when I was 5 years old, I used to drink with my old grandpa every weekend. Any chance that advert was created by the same agency that did Ivor Johnson revolvers? What the fuck with little girls with guns and the grog thing? There's really just something wrong with all that, man. As for this one, I sincerely don't want to be cruel or insensitive, but is it possible that some of the kids that got these were brapping the school bullies in their minds? I would have been at that age.
There was a firefight!
Moving on. Oh, shit. Not again. Naked babies playing in the family vitamin supply. Context, relevance, none. First we've got little Nancy getting on the piss with grandpa, then going to bed with a loaded revolver. Now we've got a painted pedo's panorama. Now here's another one that became infamous. Mrs. Winslow's soothing syrup, or as the American Medical Association dubbed it in 1911, a baby killer. This concoction of ammonia and alcohol also contained a whopping 64 milligrams of morphine sulfate per shot glass. I've had enough. What have we got for the grandparents? Ah, look. Old Grandpa Reich's mistaken his spag bowl for egg noodles and his PTSD is fired up. He thinks he's back in a North Korean POW camp instead of the nursing home. This could set off a chain reaction. Quick, nurse, give him some more drugs before we're all seeing cactuses. And this one gets about as wrong as it gets. You'd have to be at least 55 to remember. However, Distaval was also known generically as thalidomide. While it had antidepressant properties, it is most famous for being given to pregnant mothers with morning sickness in the late 1950s and early 60s. The results created one of the biggest medical scandals of the whole century, as up to 20,000 babies were born with horrendous birth defects, such as missing limbs, hands growing out of their shoulders, and worse. The big pharma company that manufactured thalidomide got off with a slap on the wrist and a fine. Safe and effective, trust the science. Fucking criminals.
What about this one deal? That's it. Okay, fuck you.
Fuck you.
Fuck you. Fuck you.
I can't make a video about drugs without mentioning, even for a second, cigarettes. Yep, they're fucking drugs too, bro.
What cigarette do you smoke, Doctor? Once again, the brand named most was Camel. Yes, according to this repeated nationwide survey, more doctors smoke Camels than any other cigarette.
And on that note, I need a dar and a drink per doctor's orders. All right, you've seen enough. I'll see you round like a squash titty. See, for me, it's different. If I've got beer, for example, and I run out of cigarettes, I'm fine until the beer's gone.